If you guys have been part of the Fortnite community lately, you might be familiar with this little, I guess you could call it some drama within the Fortnite community, Doja Cat taking over Fortnite's account and posting some inappropriate things, and a lot of people have taken that and started to, have the conversation about Fortnite being a kid's game, all of that. I want to show you everything that Doja Cat or Epic Games, we'll never really know who it was, ended up posting on behalf of Doja Cat on the Fortnite account. And I'm going to give my commentary, then we're going to get into what the Fortnite community thinks about this as well. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another video. If you are new here, my name is Kyle. I am your guy with 20 YouTube channels. So I'm going to try not to comment on it until I end up showing you exactly everything that ended up happening, okay? So this was apparently all of what Doja Cat was tweeting from Fortnite's account. But then Doja Cat ended up responding to that, and again, we'll get to that, okay? So there was a bunch of roses from the Fortnite account. The mother of rose toys was the big one that everybody has been talking about. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, my channel, we talk about a lot of adult things on this channel, so I feel like this is okay to talk about. If you're not familiar with what a rose toy is, to put it very, very lightly, it's a sex toy, okay? One day I will be sweaty. One of my Fortnite skins is bald-headed, and that's just something people are going to have to get used to. Not too big of a deal except for this mother of rose toys thing. As soon as this got posted, it was all over the place. They got deleted very quickly, but Happy Power actually ended up recapping what Doja Cat ended up responding over here, okay? So Fortnite ended up, like I said, posting Mother of Rose Toys. Doja Cat responded saying, I told them not to, man. That's not even me. I said this yesterday, then said, don't post that. Someone else replied saying, me when I lie. Doja Cat replied to that again saying, me when I wish somebody tweeted something like this to a bunch of kids. And somebody else asked, who tweeted this if not you? How am I supposed to know? I'm going to give my take on who I think that could possibly be, because my initial take is like, we'll never really know about this entire thing. But there is one more thing that I wanted to show you over here. And this was the post she ended up deleting, but here's a screenshot. Doja Cat posted, Lord, somebody knock on the cubicle at Fortnite headquarters right now. They're tweeting about sex toys, trying to act like I'm tweeting that crap. I don't know. It's a very, very tough situation with this entire thing, but I want to give my entire take on this situation before we take a look at what some people in the Fortnite community have been saying, okay? But, by the way, like and subscribe if you have not already. If you enjoy videos like this, I would love to have you check out more content. We talk about what's been going on in Fortnite content throughout, we cover as much as we can. But anyways, what do I think happened with this entire situation? If it wasn't Epic, I would imagine that the straightforward one is the answer. I would guess that Doja Cat she has quite the personality to her, as some people say. A lot of people like to talk about Doja Cat having a shocking personality, I guess you could say. I would imagine that she was probably joking and said this to an Epic employee, or maybe multiple Epic employees, and perhaps somebody over at Epic, who may or may not be a little bit more on the innocent side, did not understand the joke that she was telling them. Then she threw their way. It's possible, okay? But it's also possible that Doja actually did take over and is doing a little bit of damage control after this. The entire situation is just weird, and it's always really tough for me to talk about Epic Games, like, making mistakes as a billion-dollar company and a billion-dollar corporation, and I hate bringing that up because oftentimes it's used in arguments with bad faith. But I do at the same time have issues seeing them make mistakes like this. I personally believe this entire thing was a marketing strategy that Epic Games coordinated with Doja Cat, with Doja Cat probably being okay with it, with her personality, right? In today's attention economy, of course, we all know that outrage is literally the best currency right now. A normal Doja Cat skin announcement wouldn't get nearly as many shares or interactions as something like tweeting the mother of rose toys, just like any sort of inappropriate or shocking tweet, along with a little bit of drama that it's not supposed to be. Being out there, that's something that gets millions of impressions and free coverage from people like me online. I know that I'm not like the biggest channel out there, but you get my point, okay? Companies do these types of things all the time. Then all of the sheep will look at Epic Games and call them stupid for making such a mistake with this entire thing. And this does make sense for Doja Cat as well, and I'm going to be honest with you guys. I should have said it a little bit earlier in the video, so with what I'm about to say, I'm looking at what's commonly said about Doja Cat. I don't really pay too much attention to her, okay? Supposedly, she has a brand built about being, chaotic and unfiltered with a personality, and this is the perfect person to have Fortnite collaborate with to have this kind of stunt. I feel with this being, again, a mistake, all of this makes it feel a little bit more authentic, right? But like I said at the beginning, guys, we will never know the truth behind all of this, but there is another thing, and more importantly, that people have been constantly bringing up with this entire thing, and that being the issue about Fortnite being a kid's game again. Everybody is looking at this and saying something along the lines of like, Fortnite's a kid's game. What about the children who has to see this? Epic Games is stupid, irresponsible, all of those types of things. And guys, I have to be honest with you guys here. I feel just a little bit conflicted with this, okay? Is Fortnite, and we've had this conversation before, is Fortnite really a kid's game anymore? Was it ever a kid's game? The game is literally rated for teenagers. Think about all of the mature IPs that Fortnite has collaborated with over the years. Literally, okay, just off the top of my head. Family Guy, Walking Dead, Alien vs. Predator, Doja Cat, of all things, and like everything that they're doing this Halloween, these are not child-friendly IPs, especially Doja Cat. I think it's important that everybody needs to acknowledge that the responsibility for what a young child has to see or sees online has to at some point fall on the parents. Why is your child on Twitter? Everybody's yapping about kids seeing what Fortnite posted on Twitter. Why are these children on Twitter in the first place? Why? You can see endless adult content. You can see people dying. You can see OF models thrown your way every 2 seconds. You can see every single literal horrible thing under the sun on that platform. It's a parental duty to monitor these types of things. And at this point in my life, guys, I don't know at what age my own daughter is going to be allowed to have social media. Thank God I have to wait years for that. But like still, there's a lot to take into consideration with these types of things. But one thing's for sure. If I ever do let my child on X on whatever age that I decide to let her on X, I'm not going to freak out on some OP for whatever happens to like get her scarred on there. And it'll probably happen like depending on what she's seen throughout her life. If she's been able to, which I don't think she will, but been able to sneak behind my back, she'll get scarred with something. I'm not going to get mad at the poster for doing so. I'm going to get mad at myself. But with all of that said, I do completely understand the concern with all of this. I'm not naive. I understand that in reality, millions of children play Fortnite and are very active on X, and especially over on Fortnite's official page. And I have no doubt in my mind that this led to a massive spike in some very, very uncomfortable Google searches. I guarantee you there are a lot of kids out there who saw this inappropriate move from Fortnite and then, you know, to put it lightly, found their gateway drug into adult content, and that will no doubt affect them for the rest of their lives. On a surface level, this is wildly inappropriate from the side of Epic Games, whether this is a marketing strategy or not. Something like this, in my opinion, shouldn't be happening, okay? And I hope you guys understand why I feel a little bit conflicted about this. And please, don't start commenting down below about how you hate me for fence-sitting. I hate this guy. I hate these YouTubers that do that. Like, I do know that a lot of YouTubers do that. Go watch any of my other content. The vast majority of time that we're talking about topics like this, I have strong opinions on the subject at hand that we're talking about, okay? One thing's for sure, okay? It definitely falls on the responsibility of the parents, and at the same time, I do believe it was irresponsible on the side of Fortnite to have something like this happen. It's just tough, man, because Fortnite is also a game for all ages, or for teens and up. The people who started with this game are now young adults, and Fortnite has been trying to age up with them a little bit now, and Ninja talked about that a little while ago. There was a big conversation about it, and Epic's been doing a good job with this. It's just unfortunate that this will have no doubt led to a lot of children, you know, possibly finding their way into a lifelong addiction because of a Google search because of something that Epic Games and Fortnite tweeted from Doja Cat. That's why it's in a really, really, really tough situation. But of course, it's not just about what I think, guys. I wanted to take a look at what the Fortnite community had to say about all of this as well. And by the way, if you're enjoying a video like this, please hit like, subscribe. We have commentaries like this all of the time on the channel. I would love to have you guys over there. Let's hear what some people had to say about this, okay? PBJ had this to say. Yeah, Doja Cat and Fortnite is low-key weird. At this point, I don't think it's weird to have Doja Cat and Fortnite. We have a ton of topics like this we have a ton of mature IPs being added to Fortnite. Jojo Josiah had this to say, and I actually saw this prior to me recording this video. Fortnite has this weird balance as a kid's game, and people always go, what the fuck are you doing? It's a kid's game. But then they're adding the Terrifier to Fortnitemares. That's about as non-family friendly as you could possibly get. So is it a family-friendly kids game or not? That's why it's a difficult situation, because I understand where JoJo's coming from, and I kind of believe it. And at the same time, while I understand what everybody is talking about, my overall opinion is still the vast majority of the responsibility falls on the parents to monitor what their child sees. They have to be careful with Fortnite. Like, if your child is being involved with Fortnite, you got to understand what kind of creative maps are out there. You got to understand what types of collaborations Fortnite is, collaborating with. That's more of my opinion. But again, it's one of those things where I understand both sides of this, right? Why would they post that after being told not to, another user said? The implication is she told them, hey, that's also the name of a sex toy. Don't post that. And I don't get why they wanted to post it so bad. If they have some toy to sell, just change the figure. Justified mild crash out. It's another toughie because we don't know what actually happened with Doja Cat. She could just be saying that now. This entire thing could be a marketing stunt, which is, in my opinion, most likely the case. But it could just be an Epic employee ignoring Doja Cat's wishes. But at the same time, why was that even messaged to them in the first place? Again, it's a real toughie. She has a history of deleting crap and acting like nothing happened. I'm not familiar with this, but I also have seen some people talking about this as well. It's gonna, by the time you're seeing this video too, people have already probably forgot about it, but I still wanted to talk about this, okay? I'm sorry, but when were children supposed to be on this app to begin with? It clearly states 17 plus before you download, right? But then people will say what the reply is saying over here, where there are tons of children on Twitter, always has been. But that's not Twitter's fault. That's not Fortnite's fault. That's on the responsibility of the parents more than anything. That's why it's a difficult conversation to have. And yeah, I think it is 13 plus over here. I'm not sure about the 17 plus, but there is a teenager rating on it. I know that for sure. She's going to get her own skin blacklisted before it even releases. Yeah, it's going to become one of the rarest skins of all time. It sucks too because it's actually a pretty well-designed skin. Wenzo said they're on a generational marketing run. Yeah, I think that is most likely the case with this entire thing. But if you want to talk a little bit more about something that's been going on like this with the Fortnite community and, everybody having a little bit of a difficult conversation with things, and why don't you check out this video where we expand on that? I'd love to have you guys over there. Thank you very, very much for being here and watching the video, guys. Take care, everybody.